Good afternoon, everyone. We are still waiting for several delegates before we proceed to the closing session of our virtual dialogue. Thank you. The program will begin in 2 minutes. All right. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back. This is the closing session of the Regional Dialogue on Youth Empowerment in Climate Actions. I hope you all enjoyed our parallel events, and now we have reached the closing session of our two-day regional dialogue. We begin our closing session with the launch of the Youth Empowerment in Climate Actions platform, or as we call it, YECAP. May I call on the YECAP Asia and the Pacific Action Committee, represented by the Regional Youth Project Manager of the UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub, Savinda Rathanunga, and the global focal point from Yango, Hita Lakani, to lead this session. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Jules, and very good welcome back, I would say. Good afternoon for all of you as well. My name is Savindra Tungal. I'm back again from first panel opportunities as well to officially launch this climate actions platform in front of all of you. And then, most importantly, I have my amazing colleague Hita with me. Hi, Hita.
Hello everyone, hi Savi.
Great. We are back. Got her back again from yesterday. You had Mary Claire joining about the Yango, and now she's here to launch this platform. At least as we mentioned from the beginning, this is a combination of multiple of partners: UNDP, UNICEF, UNFCCC, British Council, Yango Movers Program, and 23rd Youth Force. But again, the objective is the much more important of this platform. So, which I'll hand it over to Linka to walk you a little bit.
Thank you so much, Savi. And like Savi said, welcome back, everyone. And we're very, very happy to announce the launch of this platform. This platform is, of course, the objectives are fourfold. The first one is, of course, awareness for action. So a lot of young people are aware about climate change. They know what's happening, but they still lack awareness on what action they can take, how they can contribute, whether it's at an individual level, whether it's policy, organization, whatever it is. So the awareness is for the action to empower young people, give them the tools, give them the sort of knowledge to help them take action. The next one is from promise to action. So governments have promised they have their NDCs. Some governments are making those NDCs a little more ambitious, which is amazing. But how can they engage young people in this promise? How can they engage young people to ensure that all of this that we've been talking over the course of 2 days, we've been talking about youth empowerment, youth inclusion, and this inclusion needs to finally take place at the national levels. So there's going to be lots of different ways, for example, designing programs, implementation, monitoring, reporting, all the different ways where young people could input into the national processes. Then there is knowledge for action. So there's a lot of knowledge resources out there. Like, it's amazing how much is there in the space. The only thing is sometimes there is a disconnect between the knowledge and between the people who need that sort of knowledge. So we're trying to build bridges, trying to ensure that this knowledge reaches the young people and ensure that we're actually filling that gap which is currently prevailing. And the fourth one is resources towards action. So basically, after all of this, at the end of the day, young people still need resources, whether it's financial resources, whether it's capacity building, mentoring, showcasing, all of these different types of resources to help youth and youth organizations actually achieve what they want to and maybe go ahead beyond that. So that's what we're aiming from the platform.
Thank you so much, Rita, for showing the objectives. As we clearly mentioned over there, it is about the action. So we have been curating, culminating these activities as organizers and organizations, as young leaders, how we can move into the actions, as we already heard. So moving on, I don't want to go through them one by one, but this is already something you heard today. So you had amazing 11 opportunities being shared today with our youth organizations, our UN leaders, our convener partners, who are being trying to create these activities together. So this is not a platform that we try to do, everything out of scratch, but we try to build on the strength of these organizations. So as we mentioned about how we can provide resources to strengthen your programs and activities, and how we can access this knowledge into action through the platforms. And we had this amazing some of the thought-provoking discussions among the governments just a few minutes ago, saying that how we can share our knowledge together, how we can work collectively as governments to learn from each other and create some substantive impact. So how we can strengthen these youth architectures. And then also how we can create peer-to-peer learning so we can learn from this community. We saw like for the last 2 days, you were actually learning with each other. So how we can amplify. So these are the conveners that we are coming together. We actually have more partners like United Nations volunteers and many others who are joining hands with us to create the concrete activities. So again, as we mentioned yesterday, that we want to empower actions taking from this regional dialogue towards our COP26 and beyond. So this is how we have taken the place. And also to mention that our organizational leaders are already here for the closing remarks. They're also listening in, who are actually providing us this opportunity to really strengthen this agenda moving forward. The timeline. And
Yeah, thank you so much. So the timeline, this is supposed to be the decade of action. And this year especially is extremely, extremely busy, especially when it comes to youth action. So before this event, we had the pre-event dialogues, which were amazing. Lots of young people engaged. It's much smaller, so you could have a lot more different conversations, different sort of themes that were covered. Now we're at the regional dialogue at the closing, and soon we'll have the Asia Pacific Climate Week. Most likely it's going to be virtual as well this year. And then we have the Italian Youth COP26 youth event, which is Youth for Climate Driving Ambition, which is going to be held in Milan, where the applications are still open. So if you have not applied yet, apply. The deadline is 28th of February. And they're going to find 400 young people from across the world to come to Milan for this youth event. And then we have COI 16, or the 16th Conference of Youth, which Marikla spoke about, and I spoke about a little bit yesterday. It's basically the conference of youth organized by Youngo. So it's a youth organized event by youth for youth, where young people will get prepped for the negotiations, but it's also a networking capacity building platform. And then the outcomes of the COI 16 are fed into the COP26, are given to the COP president and the UNFCCC secretariat. So of course, this will happen in Glasgow, but we're also going to have a virtual version because we're not sure of how the world is going to look like by the end of the year. So we're going to have a virtual conference of you just before the Global COI in Glasgow. So stay tuned. We'll keep having updates as and when it progresses, and we look forward to seeing a lot of you at COI 16 as well. And then for this year, of course, finally, we have COP26, which is convened by the UNFCCC. And we're really looking forward to trying and hopefully seeing a lot of young people there, but also seeing a very, very strong outcome and very meaningful outcome from the negotiations.
Yes, indeed. Thanks, Hita. Definitely. I think we want to have an action step, but also connected to this timeline. And all these ongoing activities of the research partnerships will be happening in parallel. And we want to go beyond, of course, COP26 and to lead more activities and engagement. But we want to make sure that the short run, we also have concrete activities for you through this platform. And then we just convened our regional dialogue. So we had amazing agenda. We are coming to the closure, and we had over 2,500 registration. We had over 1,100 delegates throughout the 2 days joining us from various sessions. And we had a very amazing young female participants. I think Hita has herself inspired many young female climate leaders to be with our participation. And we had a very diverse panel of speakers representing marginalized groups from various regions of the Asia Pacific. And then also we had, as we mentioned, we already had 20 plus pre-events who we hear more from one of our speakers just after from Lamia, as well, have engaged more than 1,000 young people as well. So it's showing the enthusiasm. We can already see the chat and the excitement as well. So it's amazing to create these activities. And most importantly, we are just launching the platform, but the platform is actually in action.
Yeah, and then, like Savi already said, the movement has already started, right? It's amazing. It's really, really great to see so many young people, hundreds of them from the Asia Pacific region and some also from outside. To see so many young people being active, it's very inspiring to myself to see so many young people wanting to make the change. And with the pre-events and along with the regional dialogue, the movement has started. The momentum is ongoing. We need to ensure that we take it on through the other events throughout the year, but of course, it doesn't end at COP26. It must go beyond because climate change is not going to get solved so quick. So we're in this for the long run. And we look forward to all of your support, all of you working together, collectively building a stronger movement, of course, in the Asia Pacific, but then taking it outside and creating a global momentum together.
Yes, indeed, echoing with Hita, definitely the movement has started. So glad that you're all part of it, and we hope to continue the discussions. And yeah, you can be part of this discussion and get more updates. You'll be asking about how to get all these presentations, how to know about more these opportunities. So youthapec.org/climate, that's where you can get. We'll be upgrading this platform. We are just leading into the event right now, but after that, the follow-ups and opportunities will be connected. But me and Hita as just representatives, I think Ernest was mentioning yesterday that how we can set aside our organization behind, but how we can come as people who are committed on this agenda can come together and bring the strength of this organization to move this. So this is 20 plus organizing them in the convener partners. You can see from all these seven, the organizing team who are coming together as a one team, one family, working together for this event in a very short period, but we hope to create this movement for the future. So on behalf of the entire the action committee, thank you so much for being part of this regional dialogue. So we hope to keep in touch with you through this platform leading up to the COP26 and further. So thank you so much. And Hita, you have any remarks as well?
Thank you so much. Nothing much to add. We look forward to working together with all of you and keep the momentum going, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Jules.
Thank you so much to Savi and Hita for launching, of course, the Youth Empowerment in Climate Actions platform, or as we call it, the YECAP. So there you have it. You've heard it right, that we have prepared so many opportunities as a way forward after this regional dialogue. So aside from hashtag Climate Promise, you may now include hashtag YECAP in all of your social media posts. And we hope that all of you can continue to join the dialogues in the future that will lead to actions through YECAP. And as we end our two-day regional dialogue, we'll now listen to several closing remarks Now we begin with the regional ambassador for Asia and Pacific and South Asia at FCO Cabinet Office Joint Unit for COP26 Climate Summit. Please welcome Ken O'Flaherty. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning. I'm Ken O'Flaherty, so as you've heard, the COP26 Regional Ambassador for the Asia-Pacific region. I'd like to thank the organisers of today's event for inviting me to speak with you. The theme of youth empowerment in climate actions is central to the UK's work this year as COP26 presidency, and it's really inspiring to see so many young people connected in this way through the platform today. Today, citizens, communities and economies are facing the two biggest challenges of our time, climate change and COVID-19. And the responses to both of those crises is rooted in science and innovation. As we recover from COVID-19, the decisions we all make today will either lay the foundation for sound, sustainable and inclusive growth, or they will lock in pollution and emissions for decades, and in doing so, make our society more vulnerable and less sustainable. At a minimum, COVID-19 recovery plans must not undermine existing commitments to reduce emissions. As a COP26 presidency, we're encouraging countries worldwide to seize the opportunity to develop green, inclusive and resilient recovery plans that deliver for the economy, for societies, and for the planet. Over the years, as the dangers of climate change have become ever more real and present, the international consensus for action has grown stronger. Our COP26 presidency falls during the first significant test of the Paris Agreement, and the gap to 2 degrees currently stands at about 15 gigatons. So we need a 5-fold increase in action now to close the gap to 1.5 degrees. As we look forward to November this year, it's vital that the world comes together and takes renewed action to hold temperature rise to well below 2 degrees and make best efforts to limit warming to 1.5 degrees. We think this is an opportunity for all of us to show that we are stepping up our ambition to meet the Paris goals and that we're acting with urgency. Through our COP presidency, we want to work with all countries to share the opportunities of clean growth and ensure international action on adaptation and mitigation is taken equally seriously to deliver the ambition set out in Paris. And we're working with businesses, NGOs, other organizations to take this action faster to avoid dangerous climate change and move on to a credible path to net zero. So for COP26, we want to accelerate sectoral transitions in the global economy through 5 core campaigns: energy transitions, clean transport, finance, nature, and adaptation and resilience. And we're working with countries across Asia and the Pacific region on many of these already. We want to accelerate the energy transition from coal to green energy, including to boost efforts on product efficiency to support that clean transition. We see global transport emissions rising faster than any other sector, so we want to speed up the phase out of petrol and diesel engine vehicles. In order to drive low carbon and resilient investment, we also want to transform global financial flows. We need to make finance more accessible, available, and efficient. We need more money to meet and move beyond the $100 billion per year climate finance goal set out in Paris 5 years ago. We also see that climate change and biodiversity loss are inseparable, and we want to safeguard our climate, our air, our water, and our way of life for future generations. And we want to stimulate greater action on climate adaptation and resilience to help communities prepare for the impacts of climate change. I'm very pleased to report there has been real progress in the Asia-Pacific region on all these issues in recent months. We were pleased to see several countries set out new net zero targets, including China, Japan, South Korea, Nepal, the Maldives, and Laos. We're also very much welcoming recent announcements of moratoria on new coal power plants by Pakistan and the Philippines. We hope and expect that the other countries in the region will make similar announcements in the months ahead, and I very much hope that the participants at today's event will be encouraging them to do so. We know that governments do not have all the answers and cannot solve this problem on their own. An all-of-society approach is essential. Governments, businesses, investors, cities, regions, civil society, youth, of course, but also indigenous people and faiths must all make net zero commitments and take immediate action to support a green and resilient recovery. We see young people as a particularly important voice. We recognize that young people are calling for urgent action. So we are committed to involving young people in the planning and hosting of COP26. The voice of young people around the world is a powerful catalyst for change. Young people did not create our current climate crisis, but the impact of climate change will be most keenly felt by the younger generation. We welcome the exceptional engagement being made by young people across the world, and particularly in the Asia-Pacific region, in pressing for urgent action. So the UK COP26 presidency is working in partnership with the Italian government, who will host the pre-COP and youth event in Milan. The youth event should bring together 400 youth delegates to discuss a number of topics, with a final declaration submitted to COP26. I'm very pleased that my friend and colleague, Ambassador Raffaele Langella, will speak with you in a few moments on that topic. And of course, the UK government is also working hard to ensure a youth voice is represented during conference preparations and during the event itself. Young people have a unique perspective, and if we truly wish to achieve a net zero carbon future, we must ensure that the next generation are at the forefront of our minds in all decisions we take. As COP26 presidency, we want to work hand in hand with young people to build pressure for urgent climate action. We're already doing so. I myself, for example, have been pleased to support youth NGOs in Bangladesh who are calling for an end to coal use in that country. And next month, the UK will host a climate youth dialogue with the National University of Singapore and National Youth Council. And there's many other examples across this region. I'm convinced that your voices can help deliver real change. Thank you for all that you're doing, and I look forward to further engagement in the months ahead.
Thank you so much to Ken O'Flaherty, the Regional Ambassador for Asia Pacific and of course South Asia at the FCO Cabinet Office Joint Unit for COP26 Climate Summit. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give him a reverberating warm round of applause. Thank you so much, sir, for that message. He mentioned that an all-of-society approach is needed to respond to climate change. Thank you so much, sir. Now, as we move forward to our next message, we'll now proceed to the Ambassador of Italy in Singapore. Please welcome His Excellency Ambassador Rafael Langella. Sir, go ahead.
Hello, good morning. And first of all, let me thank the UNDP Bangkok Regional Hub and the Joint Organizing Committee for allowing me to address so many young leaders and advocates of the environmental clause. And allow also me to say buongiorno and ben ritrovato to my friend Ambassador O'Flaherty. We used to work together in Rome a few years ago. He was working, of course, for the British Embassy, and I was working for the Office of the Prime Minister. So we had the occasion to meet quite frequently before. And he's a very good friend, and it's a pleasure to meet him on this occasion. You know that young people has always been maybe the moving force, the propelling force of the change. And it's always been like this. I mean, it's always been like this in sectors like civil rights, feminism, pacifism, labor, and so on. But never in recent world history there had been such a huge movement of young people gathering around a set of shared principles and causes. And of course, this is the environmental and the fight to climate change. That's why I think initiatives like a platform are crucial and essential, not only to raise the awareness of the young people vis-a-vis the environmental problems, but also to push a little bit of pressure on political authorities and constituencies in order to force them, if you allow me, to act and to preserve the environment that in an effort which will be perceived by the next generation. I mean, we are old. We have already done all the mistakes that we could do, and now it's your turn. I mean, and nobody will save the planet in your place. I mean, it's you have to participate in this effort, unfortunately, and to take your responsibilities. As you will know, Italy and UK and Italy are proud hosts of the COP26 and the preparatory events. As Ambassador O'Flaherty already said, Italy will host the pre-COP26, so before Glasgow, and the youth event. The youth event stems from the need, from the acknowledgement of the need that the involvement of younger generations in this global effort is crucial, is critical. The name of the event will be Youth for Climate Driving Ambition. It will be held in Milan, as you know, from the 28th to the 30th of September. The applications to participate in the event will be open until the 28th of February. There will be at least around 400 young climate leaders whose age will be comprised between 18 and 29. They will come from 197 countries, 2 per country. So all the countries which are part of the UNFCCC will send a small delegation to Milan. They will work on a statement, on a set of statements, and a set of concrete proposals that will be forwarded to the pre-COP in Milan and subsequently to the COP26 in Glasgow. The first 2 days of Youth for Climate Driving Ambition will be dedicated to team-based working groups, while the third day will see a direct interaction between the young delegates and the ministers who will participate in the preparatory conference to be held in the following 2 days, always in Milan. As you know, COVID-19, the pandemic, has already forced us to change some of the events which were in the agenda, not only when it comes to COP26, but also when it comes to our normal activities. So we sincerely hope that it will be possible at the end of September to gather physically in Milan. It will be completely different, as you know, but anyway, we are also working on fallback solutions which could be implemented in case the physical presence of so many young delegates will not be possible. You also know that Italy is currently chair of the G20 group, so a group of 20 plus countries that meet every year and to discuss the most important challenges of on the international scene. And probably you are aware that environmental issues are at the very core of our agenda, and they will be discussed also in that framework. I'm from Singapore. I'm talking from Singapore. I'm ambassador of Italy in Singapore, and Singapore has been invited to the G20, and so there will be interaction also in that framework on this critical topic. COVID-19. I mean, you will be aware that pandemic has forced us to work even harder on environmental issues. Maybe COVID-19 is a direct consequence of some environmental dysfunction. So maybe we should take into account, and maybe we should double our efforts to reach the goals that we have set. I will not steal much of your time. I mean, I will stop here. I will reiterate my invitation to Milan for the youth event at the end of September. Milan is beautiful. I mean, I sincerely hope to be able to welcome you there. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much to His Excellency Ambassador Rafael Langella, the Ambassador of Italy in Singapore. Let's give him, once again, a warm round of applause, everyone. Thank you so much, sir, for your message. He reiterated that the youth is, of course, the moving force for change. Okay, so now, friends, our next speaker is the Movers Program Ambassador and representing Youth Organizing Committee of the Regional Dialogue. She is the force behind the 1,000 plus youth engaged in our pre-events. So please make some noise, especially to our friends in Movers Program for Lamea Alam. Lamea, go ahead.
Hello, thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good afternoon. How are you all feeling today? I'm Lamia from Bangladesh, one of the most beautiful countries in the world and also a flood-prone country. Today, I'm very grateful of UNDP for giving me this opportunity to speak on behalf of myself, the organizing committee of this regional dialogue, and most importantly, those of you who would find my stories and perspectives relatable. Against the backdrop of pandemic, I have been working my time online through the Movers program, a regional movement of volunteers who develop SDG awareness, entrepreneurial mindset, and 21st century skills by conducting localized training at a grassroots level. And now, as a mover ambassador, within the past 1 year, I have organized 26 workshops, trained more than 800 young people directly, and mentored 16 movers across Asia Pacific, indirectly trained more than 1,000 people. I turned my passion into actions against the climate crisis during this event. With my amazing team, Tahseen, Rafi, Sumaya, Maria, and Jasmine, we organized a week-long virtual event named Climate Action Week Against Climate Change. I met so many incredible youth climate activists, such as Aruz, a Pakistani climate activist, for the last 2 years. They all allowed me to relate more with the actions that we should take to fight this global crisis. Since my childhood, I have been living next to a slum in my locality. People there make their living by collecting plastics on the street and selling them. I have been volunteering my time to teach kids in this slum based on the school curriculum. On top of that, I also teach them how to upcycle plastic bottles they have collected and how to transform them into handicrafts, which they can sell in the market for extra income. And yet, I know when the flood comes, I won't be able to help them all. There are so many challenges prevailing now, and perhaps more in the future that we cannot foresee. Just like most of us did not anticipate this pandemic. And speaking of climate change, we have already begun to see an increase in natural disasters and variable weather patterns. And let me share some of my personal experiences with you. In 2004, when the city was flooded, my mom was pregnant. It was a time when she was about to deliver my younger sister. We ended up taking her to the hospital by boat. But comparatively, we were on the luckier side of spectrum. More than 800 people from my home village lost their home due to this flood. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful for the future. Since I have dived into the world of young change makers and surrounded myself with young entrepreneurs, volunteers, and innovators, it's said that we are the last generation to stop climate change. But this generation includes not just young people like us, but also the generation that we look up to as role models. As a member of young generation, I saw that we accept and inherit the good, reject and toss away the bad. Let me share with you two stories from our movers community, our very own movers community, which affirm my belief in the power of young people. In China, Yu Xingpeng is coordinating with students from more than 10 universities through the campaign Up Marathon to encourage them to use stairs instead of lift. The campaign engaged more than 5,000 young people to take action. Then again, in India, Ibo Thoi, who lives in the rural area of Manipur, India, is very concerned about climate change since the global warming and flood affected crop production in his community. Being an educator, he tried to revive and conserve the environment with the different perspectives through education. He actively educates and empowers his peers and other fellow youths and local community about the degradation of environment and climate change, and works with the community to improve Mother Nature at local level. Today, we are here with 700 delegates, 700 strong voice, passions, and will to make a change for our better future. With you being the bridge and setting the example for people around you. Tomorrow, we hope to have 2 million, 20 million, and even to 100 million people who will be aware of climate change and start their actions. We have many platforms that enable us to do that. On a more macro level, we have the Paris Agreement on climate change and the Sustainable Development Goals, definitely. And of course, our newly launched Youth Empowerment Climate Action Platform also we have. So just like what I said yesterday, fighting against climate change could be very lonely, especially when we are surrounded by people who don't understand us. Friends and family who don't know why we are putting time and energy into this. Through this 2 days dialogue, I realized we don't need to feel alone. We have each other here. On behalf of the Youth-led co-convening partners, Movers Program, 2030 Youth Force, and Yongo, I encourage you to join us, knowing that there is always a community where you have a sense of belonging. Last but not least, we talk about building trust in our dialogue these 2 days. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizing team of UNDP, especially to Savinda and Creep, who always stood up for young people, who always hold the ground for us, especially when we were organizing pre-event activities, and who has always put you, all the youth delegates, at the heart of this regional dialogue. So, on behalf of all the youth delegates, Savinda and Creep, I want to say thank you.
All right. So thank you so much to Lamea Alam, the Movers Program Ambassador and representing the Youth Organizing Committee of the Regional Dialogue. Let's give her a warm round of applause. I can see here in the chat box that everyone, especially from the Movers Program, are really proud of our representative. Once again, she's Lamea Alam. Thank you so much for inspiring all of the youth delegates here in the closing ceremony of the Regional Dialogue. Okay, so now, as she also mentioned, by the way, to be the bridge and to set a good example to all of our communities. Thank you so much, Lamea, for that words of wisdom. Now, lastly, on behalf of the convening partners, let's hear it from the Deputy Regional Director for Asia and Pacific and Director for Bangkok Regional Hub, UNDP. Let's welcome Christoph Bawit. Sir, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Gilles. Ambassador Ken O'Flaherty of the United Kingdom, Ambassador Raffaele Langella of Italy, Ambassador Lamea Alam of the Movers Program, all young leaders and participants. First, let me thank you on behalf of UNDP for joining these two-day dialogues, which we are now bringing to conclusion. And as we reflect on, what these 2 days have been like, and more importantly, what they're leading to, I would really like to highlight how meaningful the three dimensions that are captured in the title of the events are to UNDP, but I'm sure to all of you. First, regional dialogue, which comes at a time where dialogue and cooperation are often challenged by unilateralism, by authoritarian stance, or by intolerance. And it is invaluable to have, this type of dialogue with people from different backgrounds, different positions, especially in a region like Asia Pacific, which is so diverse, so rich, and has so much to offer. So UNDP will always be, promoting, facilitating dialogue, regional dialogue, like the one we just had. Then the second part, youth empowerment. And you've heard it, the Secretary General of the United Nations many times. I've emphasized how crucial the role of the youth is in all the areas the UN is working on. And also the role of the youth in terms of defending the values of the United Nations. Now, that requires a space for the youth. It's required actually the voice of the youth to be heard. And that's why UNDP, together with the rest of the UN system, is engaging so strongly for youth empowerment. And I think over these 2 days, we had a brilliant example of youth empowerment at work, and we're very happy about it. And then the last part of the title, climate actions. And climate actions are urgent. And here, I mean, they should not be postponed. They should be dealt with. They should be addressed together with the pandemic, which is hitting us now. And climate actions are also vital if we want to avoid the tragedy that just struck India, and also vital for the young generation and the ones to come. So I'm therefore very, very thrilled that we had so many participants joining this 2-day dialogue, being so active in the session, but also in the chat, as we just saw. And as UNDP, we're also very encouraged in all the work we're doing at the regional level and at the country level, in particular through the Climate Promise initiative that we're leading, to see so many young leaders, but also government officials, academicians, people from the private sector engaging, standing up to advance the climate agenda. And specifically also engaging to prepare in the lead-up of the COP26 youth event in Milan, and then the crucial COP26 summit that the United Kingdom will host in Glasgow later this year. And our message to the young leader is, your role in this movement can vary from being an educator, an innovator, a researcher, a policymaker, and investors, or many other roles, but all these roles are important for meaningful climate actions, and they are needed, and they're also very much valued. Now, fortunately, our collective engagement does not end with this closing session. It will be sustained, it will be amplified by the YECAP, and we are very excited to see the YECAP being launched, and we're happy to do this as UNDP with a number of partners, and we hope to be joined by more partners as the YECAP gains momentum. Now, as part of this closing, on behalf of UNDP, I would really like to thank and express our deep appreciation to the government of the UK and the government of Italy for their support in this initiative, and particularly express all thanks to Ambassador O'Flaherty and Ambassador Langella personally, who have joined us today. That's very much appreciated. Let me also say that this dialogue would not have been possible without the commitment of the virtual organizing team, including my UNDP colleagues and all our partners, and I really want to thank all of them. And I also wish to recognize the extraordinary contribution of all the youth volunteers who convened the events. And without you, it would not have happened. Not only did you make this event happen, but you made it a very interactive and a very successful one. And very much hope that you will continue to be involved in the YECAP and supporting empowerment of more young people in the region. And finally, I wish to thank all the participants for this 2 days dialogue. I hope very much that you've been inspired, that you've gained knowledge, that you've also built a connections network through this dialogue. And as UNDP, we very much look forward to work further with you in the same spirit that presided over this regional dialogue for youth empowerment in climate actions. Thank you very much. Stay engaged and stay healthy.
Thank you so much to our Deputy Regional Director for Asia and Pacific and Director for Bangkok Regional Hub UNDP, Christophe Bauet. Let's give him a warm round of applause. Thank you so much, sir, for being here and closing our session for this regional dialogue. He mentioned that YECAP will sustain our efforts in this regional dialogue. So the challenge to all of you right now, can you guys help us amplify the momentum for YECAP? Let us hear your thoughts here in the chat box right now. Thank you so much once again to all our colleagues in UNDP and to all our co-convening partners. And that actually ends our 2-day virtual regional dialogue. Once again, this regional dialogue on youth empowerment in climate actions is made possible by the collaboration of the following co-conveners: UNDP Asia Pacific, UNICEF East Asia and Pacific, UNICEF South Asia, UNFCCC Regional Collaboration Center Bangkok, British Council, Youngo, Movers Program, and 2030 Youth Force. Please continue the discussions online and translate it into actions through YECA. Please use our hashtags, hashtag Climate Promise and hashtag YECA. All of you will receive the feedback form from the event organizers to provide your inputs and suggestions for our ways forward. And you will also receive an e-certificate upon completion of this survey. We also plan to curate an online consultation to engage your contributions to the high-level dialogue on energy later this year. So please stay tuned to our updates via our Facebook groups and WeChat groups. On behalf of the organizers and our co-convening partners, thank you so much for joining us in this virtual dialogue. Together, let's commit for the climate promise. Collectively, let us all transform our climate promise to climate action. Once again, I am Jules Giang, and this is the Regional Dialogue on Youth Empowerment and Climate Actions. Thank you and stay healthy.